before we start with the presentation, I want to know my audience. How many of you are students over here? Please raise your hands. Okay. How many of you are working professionals over here? Nice. And how many of you are trying to or are in business today? Okay. Nice. How many of you have heard the word as full stack developers? Right? People who deal with front end and back end, both of development. Right? How many of you have heard the word full stack designer? So, I am a full stack developer. Sorry, I am a full stack designer. So, from start to end of the designing, I deal with it. So, what happens in designing phases? A few people say that ideation के phase से design start होता है. A few people say that research के phase से design start होता है. A few people say नहीं जो हम जो tools पे use करते हैं वो design होता है. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं जो by product हमें जो मिलता है जिससे हम interact कर सकते हैं वो design होता है. और कुछ लोग तो बोलते हैं कि just static images are just designing. IT की world में designing का क्या use है? Anybody you can give an answer. Just raise your hand and you can say. How designing is used in IT. Yes. What is the role of designing in IT?
Interface in a website.
Only websites? No mobile applications?
Yeah, for mobile app development.
Yeah. Yes. So making the user that to interact with the interfaces. That interface could be a website, could be a mobile application, could be on iPad, could be a smartwatches. Use interfaces. We design interfaces for smartwatches also. Okay. So today I am going to start with the topic how UX, that is user experience, affects our day-to-day life. Now what happens in UX? I am a person who has dealt in designing from last 5.5 years. And I worked in different domains like IoT, Internet of Things. I worked with automotive, sports tech. I worked with food applications. I've also worked with designing multiple websites. I don't know how many I have designed till date in my lifetime. And also I have made educational applications, etc. Yeah. So how my UX journey actually started. So I am an engineering graduate student. So till third year, I was also doing HTML, CSS, Java, J2EE, these things. And then one day I was very active into all these communities in my school, college days. And what happened is I was a part of Microsoft Student Partner. I was a part of ISEC. I was a part of Google Developers Group. Back then I don't know why I wasn't part of a WordPress, but yeah, I was in Indore, so whatever communities I could gather, I was a part of it. And I was selected or I got an opportunity to go to All India Microsoft Student Summit. In that summit I heard the words, like today you may be hearing some new words and you might find that affinity towards them. The words were user journey, user experience, designing, etc. And I got my first hands-on experience with all the designing tools when I was in an internship. I cracked an internship initially in my third year for 6 months. That was a training and internship, and there is how I started with Adobe Photoshop. So everybody, as a graphic designer or any sort of designer, when you start, you should know tools. So the basic tools, Adobe is a big market. Adobe Creative Cloud has multiple designing tools available. If I started with Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Adobe XD. Today XD is being eradicated. Figma is the thing which has come up in the market. For Apple, Mac users, we have Sketch, etc. So these were the tools that I started learning with. I thought tools सीख लिया तो सब कुछ हो गया. सारी designing में सीख गई, but ऐसा नहीं होता. Designing is something where you need to involve yourself, think empathetically towards the user who is going to use the particular application. And you need to do a basic research, what is there in the market, what has been eradicated out of the market, what are the current trends, who all have developed such similar applications. You need to do competitive analysis, benchmark analysis, etc. So I started learning that. So initially graphic designer की internship थी. उसके बाद I cracked my first placement offer and I became a product designer over there. I started working with 2 international brands. They are absolutely elite brands of IoT, and one is for smart guest room services, the other one is for smart luxury homes. So I started with that, and after COVID, or in and around COVID, so my mother is also a housewife, and my father supported both of us to have a company, and I started a company with my own mother's name, Sureka Homes Private Limited. She is here today. It's been 3 years to the company. We are running it. I don't know how, but it's still running. And these were the experiences that I had. Next. Yeah. So what are the types of designers? As I started my career as a graphic designer, I then started my first job as a product designer. Then I also created my own brand and I became a brand designer. As a designer of all these things, I know UX designing. So UX designer plays important part while because we play a lot with all the interfaces. I became an interface designer. Designing is all to deal with visuals and creativity, and hence you become a creative or a virtual designer. So there are different genres of designing. And आज आप किसी भी company के profile या career section में देखोगे, so you will see different profiles. You need to write the word designer, and then you will get all these types of designing. If any part, any job role, if you find that affinity towards it, ki, yes, this is the section that I can do it. This is I'm telling for all the students. You can continue in this career path ahead. The next one is SDLC. How many of you are aware of this particular diagram? Yeah? Thank you. So this is software development life cycle. Why I brought this up diagram is because majority of people don't know where actually the designing starts, where the role of designer comes in. So initially our first step is requirement analysis. We take the requirements from the client or the upper stakeholders or the people who came up with that idea, founders, CTOs, CEOs, the executive funnel, and then comes the research R&D team first. The business analyst, the R&D team, they sit together, ideate further, and then comes the designing process. So once the idea comes to the designer also does that initial research thing. So UX research is also a field where people go into. So first the UX designer basically does with the research, then they start with making empathy mapping, user stories, taking different use cases, and then start developing finally a wireframe. After the wireframe is being done, then we go to, once the wireframe is being phrased by everybody on the floor. So we need to have a lot of through and through conversations with all the stakeholders around. Once it has been done, once the wireframe is being settled, we go for a high fidelity screens. I'll tell you the difference between wireframe and high fidelity, and then the prototyping is being done. Once the prototype is being filled, we get that POC, proof of concept. We go further step ahead, that is MVP. In our first session, Madam was talking about MVP, minimal viable product. Once that product is being achieved, after that we go to the development phase, we go with the other testing phase, then the production line. Then we further evolve the product according to the customer feedbacks, customer experience, and that is how the loop of SDLC goes ahead. So what is the design process? I just elaborated. Firstly, we design with, we start with empathizing. Now, empathizing is with the user. Suppose we have to make an application today, which a basic application, we'll go with a food delivering application. Today we have Zomato, we have Swiggy, we have seen Uber Eats also. So these are the applications today which are available. But initially there was no particular application. So people had to think. There was someone who actually sat and thought and empathized with the user. Okay, once they have to select the what food item they want to eat or what restaurant they have to select. What should be that first step? So that is empathy with the design, with the user initially in the design phase. Then we define the problem statement. Okay, that the person wants to order a particular dish. So that is the problem statement. How, what, why, when, where, and other use cases. What sort of a person would be? That person should be a techie. What gender it could be? Because there are many applications which are few gender specific also. So we need to take questions out of in this way, and we need to have that definition of that particular product. Once the definition, empathizing is being done, we start with ideation. Now this ideation is the process where we make user journeys. Once the user journey has been completed, that we have a login. Now we have a home screen, then we have a cart. We see all the products, then we go to the cart, and then the cart has been executed, we go to the payment gateway. So that is particularly a user journey. Once the user journey is completed, you go with prototyping. The prototyping is what you see actually as an application. They are static, they could be having CTAs, that is call to action buttons, etc. And then finally, once the testing is being done, we have the application live. Now UX is everywhere. I want you to observe the room for once and just see the elements around. The shoes you are wearing, the specs you have, the door you see around, the walls you have, even the paintings on the wall. Just observe the room just for a minute. Then I'll just elaborate where UX is involved in this particular room also. Yeah. So I just told you the example of door. Now this is a very famous UX case study where we always talk about doors. How many of you have gone wrong with pull and push of the door irrespective of the pull and push trick hack? Like majority of us have done that. We read the instruction but still we go and pull the handle. I don't know why we do that. But it is there. So it is a bad UX example. The first one is the bad UX example. The sticker has been there, the instruction is written, but still people are executing it in a wrong way. Now, जब दरवाजा push ही करना है, तो वहाँ पे वो handle देने की क्या ज़रूरत है? So this is an example of a doorman theory. He is called as the father of UX, and he actually came with this solution that when there is push written, why there should be a handle, right? We should remove all those handles. So that was his idea. So that was an example of bad UX. This is another example of bad UX. You might have seen that हम बहुत सारे applications चलाते हैं, हम end तक भी आ जाते हैं उनके कार्ट वार्ट पे, एक बहुत लंबा सा फॉर्म फिल करना होता है, बट हम बीच में एप्लीकेशन को बंद करके चले जाते हैं, बहुत बोर हो रहा है, ये क्या है, इसको छोड़ो एंड वी गो आउट. So that is a bad user experience. आपको बहुत monotonous लगा, बहुत boring लगा. That is why you just came out of that application. So long forms, longer the journey of user is, the bugging, the better or the worst the experience could be. So it is an example of a bad UX. Next, how many of you see OTT platforms over here? Like Netflix, Prime, Hotstar, etc. How many of you watch? Yes. And बहुत सारे applications हमारे favorite shows, हमारे favorite ही movies क्यों दिखाते हैं? Any idea? तो हमारे past history of watched movies, अगर आपने genre में action movies ही देखे, तो they will give you suggestions, recommendations on action movies. So that is a part of a good UX. Why? Because you are being studied, your actions are being studied on the platform. You feel like we are being recognized. Even Amazon, Myntra today does that. On your history of your orders, what you have searched around, it comes onto your page. So that is an example of a good UX. Okay. Now what a user experience designer has its role on? Anybody? I know lunch के बाद थोड़ी नींद आती है, so I want to make a bit interactive. You can raise up your hands and start speaking. So what are the types of roles that a UX designer has to play? I've elaborated a few of them for you.
R&D.
Yes, R&D, creativity, yes, more. बहुत सारे roles होते हैं. बहुत सारे answers आने चाहिए.
Design thinking.
Design thinking, yeah. Wireframing. More.
Increasing engagement.
Yeah. Next, anybody? So all the answers are right. Huh?
Product experience.
Product experience, yeah, that is what user experience. How the user feels at the end of the day. So this is the part of the responsibilities that I do for every application or every user experience designer does on the floor. So the first is client consultation. बिना उनके तो कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता because client का ही idea है, client ही problem statement दे रहा है. So whatever they are defining, we need to continue with it. So that is the first thing. Then suppose today I want to make my own Zomato. So already Zomato is existing, Swiggy is existing. So there is competitive analysis. In business, we talk about red market strategy and blue market strategies. How many of you are aware with red market and blue market? Nobody? Okay. For the first time when an application has been launched, first idea, like Ola was the first idea. And first time coming in India, there was no taxi like application before. We can order an online taxi on a call or with an application. So it was a blue market strategy. Today we have Ola, Uber, and now Rapido comes into the picture. So it is a strategy, this business is coming into a red market strategy. You already have people around, right? The same idea is existing in the market. It becomes a red market strategy. So competitive analysis is the most important when the product lies into the red market strategies. Next, we do with wireframing, prototyping, usability testing. Once the product is ready, I know this is how the navigation is. The person can tap along, go along ahead, and this is how the prototype is, right? You can interact with the application. No code is being written over here, okay? This is all these all phases are prior to your coding phase, right? So user has to go test the application. It could be any layman, any person. You might have filled a few surveys. What was your experience about this website? Or a few college students, maybe MBA or maybe designers or people who are starting a particular project. They will put a survey from. Suppose they want to start with a laundry application. They will ask you questions like how often do you give your clothes out for washing, ironing, etc. So such basic questions are being done. Those are surveys. So usability testing is one of that. Once your prototyping is being done, you take out your application to the world and you ask for opinions from people whether they are able to execute it or not. Once the usability testing is successful, today then only these products are going on an upper level for making a POC, MVP, etc. So prior to any step or any line of code written, the first step is people go for usability testing these days. Then communicating with stakeholders. Obviously, any designer on the floor, you can ask, we have this, that for this particular product, we have to talk to a client today. For a second project that we are handling, we have to go to the users today, do beta testing or usability testing. And for the third project that I am handling today, I have to use with the people around. And then we have user feedbacks. Career growth in UX, there are many opportunities. As I elaborated the roles, every role of a UX person has a particular profile to it. So user research is the profile. You can go for application, website, SaaS-based projects, etc. Then there are brand designers where you need to define with the brand identity. It could be making a logo or to make your brand stand out. So it should be bold, having those sort of colors, etc. Talking about product user design. Then AR, VR, UX designers. People who work in Unity, people who work with all the 3D modeling, animations, etc. People who go for game and their graphics. That is also part of UX designing only. So you can go opt for a career there. Or you can be a UX consultant. After a certain experience, every person lands up in consulting. So after gathering that much experience only, you can consult people out. So that is also another career aspect. So I'll show you the power of UX now, what UX actually does. So prior to that, you can see applications before UX, they used to be more of monotonous applications. Now once the UX designer has been assigned with that role to redesign or refine the application further, you see more of colors, you see more of illustrations. Prior to just 5 years down the line, अगर हमारा error 404 page not found आता था, तो just वहाँ पे ऐसे छोटा सा लिखा हुआ आ जाता था. Today on Amazon एक dog का pose आएगा. I don't know why dog, but वो dog एक pose देता है. Page not found, page 404, 500, something like that. Errors are there. So that is the person who has given that. That you realize, okay, something has gone wrong, and then you need to refresh, rewind the system. So these are a few examples. So prior to UX, I can say our applications are a robot, or we have so many ideas. We need to simplify them. We need to make a minimalistic design, and that is how neater, how good looking our application is. The more user interaction, the more user retention comes into the picture. Challenges and key learnings as a UX person. You need to understand the different industries and their needs. You need to bridge the gap between the business and the design. And then you need to handle complex UX problems. Now these are a few principles that we use. I'm just sharing the basics today. So symmetry is important, continuity is important, proximity is important, like this. As the time is up now, I'm proceeding faster. Then comes about psychology. Now, looking at a specific color, what triggers our emotion? Which emotion is being triggered? Even that you need to keep while designing. So, color psychology is very important. The colors like red, they show danger, but they also show that boldness. Today Zomato is in bold. It looks Zomato and tomato. Like these are the two words which go together. So maybe I feel that the designer would have come up with similarities. Blue is the color which shows trust, peace, right? So these are the majority of our UPI applications, payment applications today are present in blue. This is the reason they want to showcase, they want to portray that this is a trustworthy application, hence blue color is being used. Same goes with our fonts. What sort of fonts we are using? There are different types of fonts. There are sans serifs, handwritten fonts, decorative fonts, etc. They have a specific implementation to our emotion. They trigger that emotion, and that is how the brand and its feelings and emotions are being conveyed. For the first time, nobody saw Coca-Cola as a Coca-Cola brand of drinking. Nobody goes with the red and white color. But now today when we see red and whites coming together and it is a bottle or a can, we automatically recognize without reading the brand that it is Coca-Cola. This is the power of branding. This is how colors, typographies, hierarchies, visual hierarchies plays a role. Now, people say that we have long web pages, right? Do you read the pages word by word? None of us reads that, right? So we actually scan the pages. The F is the pattern to scan, or the Z is the pattern to scan, right? This is how we just visualize or just scan the page in a minute and understand, okay, what is this product about? Now, these are the different ways. Okay, white spacing. This is very important. If you do not leave space, margin, patterns, right? So your application or every element that you have put into your application would look very like clumsy, like the image on the left side. So white spacing is very important. Now there are different industries that I had experience in. So this is for smart devices, IoT. The other is in automotive, sports tech, SaaS and banking. The future of UX, yeah. Now this is an important one because today AI is there. People say everything is being designed by AI. Why do we need humans to design it further? So today AI is working as a helping assistant to us because AI cannot do one thing, that is empathize with the users. And because of that one mistake or the lagging today's AI, we still have a very big career in UX. The other one is interacting with the voice command applications, which we have Alexa and Siri. We have augmented reality in metaverse. Today, Facebook is coming with a metaverse, right? Our shopping experience in coming a few years would automatically change. We can physically go into a metaverse, suppose we are buying Coca-Cola. So we can take the can into our hand, see it the way really we see it, and then even keep the can and roam around the mall in the same way, like we do in real world. So that is the power of a designer, that we can create that experience of real life into something which is not a reality. Next, okay. Now UX requires a lot of thinking. What is the basic steps to do it? You can keep it simple. You should know your users, and every time testing and improvement, reiterations, coming back and through with the people around, you can generate massive, beautiful, great applications. Okay, my recommendations. How many of you feel like having a career in designing some way or the other way here? Besides people who don't like development, they can definitely raise their hands. Yes, nice, thank you. So my recommendations would be that there are many UX leaders today. You can go with Donman or other leaders. You can observe the basic things that I would say that observe the things around, observe the human nature, human behavior around, the basic human psychology. Even if you observe yourself for a day or more with application, your interfaces, you would be able to empathize with people around and build better applications as a developer, as a coder, as a tester. Next. You can connect with me. I do consultations also. So my consultation link is at top mate, and you can scan the QR, that's my LinkedIn, and definitely look forward for connecting with you all.